get on with our mission to save...
We have to find out what's going on.
Last month, someone sent me a game that she says killed her child. A mother of a 5-year-old boy downloaded a toddler's edutainment game in the hopes that it would keep him busy while she was cooking dinner. He died the next day from an intracerebral brain hemorrhage. Today, I'm going to apparently risk my life for you and play this game.
Slayer.
It's a late December night. I'm snuggled up in a blanket playing Halo Reach with my boys sipping on a hot chocolate. I'm cozy, I'm warm, I'm good. After they all go to bed, I quit the game and check my email to see in all caps, frantically typed subject line that reads, "You saw the intro, so you know what happened. The game in question is called RolyPoly no Nanakarobi. She blames it for her son's death because of its disturbing images, psychoactive hyperstimulation, and mental overloading, as she describes it, according to her research. Sounds like a real-life Polybius, which was also rumored to have caused the death of a child in 1981. The game even has Poly in its name. A successor to the myth, perhaps? Let's find out. I give her my condolences and tell her that I'll take it from here. I find my way to a copy of the game. Not hard to find, as it was publicly distributed in 1997. As expected, it certainly is advertised as family-friendly educational software, remarkably reminiscent, at least in its box cover, of familiar Western edutainment PC games released in the late 90s to early 2000s, like the Sesame Street point-and-click games,
Hi!
Clue Finders,
This scroll tells of an ancient evil.
or my personal favorite, Jumpstart Adventures 3rd Grade Mystery Mountain.
Now be quiet and follow me.
Oh god. My childhood. Anyway, now's not the time for a nostalgia overdose. We've got ourselves our own mystery mountain to scale. Before I start, I'm going to take my vitals and compare them after a few hours of playing to detect any harmful effects it may have on my body. Unfortunately, I don't own a CAT scanner, so don't expect to see any X-rays of my neurological pattern. Instead, how about I just verbally tell you how my head is feeling? It feels fine. Alright, let's boot it up. Looks like some of the coding has been tampered with. It doesn't matter what I click on, all I get are error messages written in corrupted computer gibberish. After an entire day's worth of research, I figure out that there's an assortment of prerequisites that need to be met in order for this game to run, such as using the correct operating system and so forth. I spend a few moments setting up the perfect conditions where it won't crash as soon as I try to start it. I guess and check, yes, I guess and check the combinations of buttons I'm supposed to press during the installation process, and after about 24 hours of troubleshooting, it's finally ready to play. But before we get into that, today's video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Just kidding, fuck that game. NordVPN. Just kidding. Skillshare. Just kidding. Squarespace. Just kidding. Audible. Just kidding. Crunchyroll. Just kidding. Loot Crate. Just kidding. VidMe. Really though, no one has ever sponsored me to make a video, except for you guys. I make these for you. I want to keep making them even better, and I want to keep making even more. So join us. I'm so grateful for those of you that already have, and I'm still thankful that you're even watching. Now back to the video. And after about 24 hours of troubleshooting, it's finally ready to play. Here we go.
ローリーポーリーズの7転び八起き
So you can see what it is. The graphics remind me a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's. Characters modeled and rendered in this fusion of creepy 3D toy-like dolls. In fact, it might have even had an influence on FNAF with how similar they are. The only difference is, I don't think this was intended to be a horror game. You click a letter of the alphabet, and then this atrocious voice synthesizer will tell you a word that starts with that letter. Some of them are basic children's words like blue, but then others...
I know what I'm hearing.
Yeah. After that, you'll get a short cutscene, some of which would absolutely qualify as nightmare fuel for children. Nothing that I could see an average parent approving of. Anywhere from a robot seizing an AK-47 and shooting animals, to a dog being burned alive in an oven, and nothing in between is any less traumatizing. And then finally, you'll get a Japanese proverb that coincides with the word that starts with the letter that you had clicked on, most of which is too complex for a child to comprehend.
Now, I'm all for educating kids about life and reality, but maybe this is a little much. Maybe children don't need a fucking existential crisis.
And that pretty much summarizes what RolyPoly no Nanakarobi Yoki is all about. But before I tell you what happened to me after I played it, let me show you a little something. LSD Dream Emulator. Some of you might remember this obscure PlayStation 1 cult classic going viral some years ago for its super psychodramatic concept. Brought to life as a contemporary art project by a man known as Osamu Sato, known for his hyper-surrealistic style in digital art. I tell you all of this to give you a better understanding of why RolyPoly no Nanakarobi Yoki is so... weird. Because it is he who created it. Rather than a team of professional educators like most kidwares produced by, we have a prolific visionary at the helm. So building a video game meant for children might have been less of a goal and more like a guideline. As you can imagine, he took more than a few creative liberties in the process. And that's all this game is. A poetic endeavor of an artist. My vitals after playing were perfectly fine, and the most I can say my head suffered from was a minor headache. The absolute worst effect I can see coming from the result of playing this game is childhood PTSD from the disconcerting images, but an internal brain hemorrhage, I don't think so. I think the question on everyone's mind here is how true is this mother's story? I looked for every publication covering any stories of video games causing death from visually or audibly sustained brain damage to see if there's any validity to her tale, but so far nothing concrete has showed up. I should mention that the so-called mother emailed me using a fake email address. That begs the question, what kind of mom downloads an obscure Japanese edutainment game from 1997 without researching it before letting her child play it, but has the sense to make a throwaway account when emailing a stranger? At first I thought it was just a fan trying to get me to make a creepypasta out of a childhood game that used to scare them, but then as I was researching it, something very worrisome lingered around me. It's no secret that I often cite Discord as a primary source for information on a topic I'm investigating, and recently in investigating RolyPoly no Nanakarobi on one of its many fan servers, there was this one guy named Arahasa who made it his priority to befriend me and find out where I lived. Aggressively, I might add. I had a working theory for what was going on, which I'll get into a sec. But unfortunately for this guy, I socially engineered him to unknowingly send me his location through a link I got him to click in our DMs. I then cross-referenced that with the IP address of the quote-unquote mother's throwaway email address. And what do you know? They are identical. Coming all the way from Japan in the very same prefecture. I figured this would happen. If you didn't see my last video, I covered a video game tied to a Japanese doomsday cult that is currently identified as a terrorist organization with still active members, known as Aleph. In the video I specifically mentioned that this cult may now be targeting me, and from what it looks like, that may be true. My theory is that this Arahasa knew I would heavily research the topic bouncing from all kinds of communities like wiki pages, Reddit threads, and especially Discord servers. So they intentionally sent me an urgent project of something so ludicrous that I couldn't ignore, of a creepy game that they're familiar with as it's also from Japan, specifically choosing an obscure topic that isn't easy to find so that there's no saturation in search engine results, which basically forced my hand into joining these closed off communities where they can easily get to me. Smart plan, but not smart enough. Like, dude, I spent a whole month studying Shoko Asahara. You think I wouldn't notice that your name is literally Asahara backwards? Come on, bro. When I emailed the mom back my suspicions, and she responded back in Japanese saying this, which means, but hey,
That's just a theory. A gay theory.
the end. Now, while RolyPoly Nanakarobi is safe, there's a lot of shit out there that isn't. Men, women, and even children are taken advantage of by malefic organizations every goddamn day. And this next one I'm gonna show you is, to put it lightly, the darkest one I've ever come across so far. Thank you all for watching. And if you have a cursed piece of media that you want me to investigate, send me that floppy disk CD or download link and I might just cover it. You can find my email in the description for details. Now here's a wrap for my top patrons. European Z Isaiah Wamsley, you destroy my mental health and Commonwealth back to your shell Raquel, you look like an ape to tend the great Sarah Lich is a leash, bash your head in with the rock under dock, no doki doki, more like moldy poke, like your pecker, Henry Ecker, audio air, has no ballsack here, I'll kill you carrot, I fucking swear, King Unito here to murder your libido, very hairy Mary, just keep crying, Brian, it's still fit. Fuck you. message you're reading right now is for my protection so I don't get sued.